Hey everyone, in our last video we added a TomTom map in a Quasar application. Using that code base, we're going to make a routing planning application for truck drivers. How do you ask? Using the TomTom Maps APIs, of course. Let's do some JavaScript. In one of our previous videos, we used the Quasar framework to add a map in our application. Today, we are going to take that code and add some input fields to create a route for trucks vehicles. It will look a little bit like this. We create a route with 2 locations, then we add some driving time. We're going to create some stopovers, and we can see the range and recreate the route again. Now, let's look at the code in more detail. The search component that we created before needs to be modified since we're not going to be searching for cities but addresses, and the search doesn't have a text to display. Now we found results using the search API. We just emit the result back to the parent using the location found key. The left drawer in our application will have fields for the origin and destination points. Between these 2 fields, we are going to populate the stopovers that the driver wants to add in the route. We will add buttons on the stopovers and the origins to calculate the driving range, so we can add stopovers more efficiently. You don't need a stopover for the end, for example. We will see them when we create them a bit later. Now we will add some more of the truck related parameters, like asking for the weight of the vehicle and its height. The driving time is the number of maximum hours the driver will do in a single leg of the route. By default, I have it for 4 hours. And finally, some buttons to create the route and clear and reset the values. Oh, and when the route is created, we will add the summary information here. Now, quickly, let's see the data object that will hold this UI. First, these are the options for the driving time. Remember, 4, 8 hours, 12 hours. And then the origin and destination. Let's work on that. But first, let's start with these two fields. We need to add two queue inputs, and we call the search component to get the location of the address on the blur method. The blur method is executed when the input loses focus. So for now, when we need to click outside the field for the location to be updated. The search component is under each input field, and the search component is actually updated. That's why we have the key section there when the blur event happens. Now, the listener for the search, when we get the location, is not really the main layout. It's actually the map component, because we are keeping two markers, one for origin and one for the destinations, active at all times. Let's try them now. The route is created when we click the button. Let's do it. Let's add the click listener, and then when we request the map component to create the route, it will be between the location of the two markers. Of course, this is a truck route, so commercial type is added. We also need to add some specific of the vehicle, like perhaps the weight and the height. Now, when the route is created, we take the summary from the result from the route and display it on the left drawer, so we know how long the whole driving is. Now let's take a look at some routes. From Seattle to Nashville. Now, as a truck driver, we need to rest from time to time. That's why we added the driving time. How many hours can you drive in one go until you need to eat, sleep, or go to the toilet? For that, we will use the Reachable Range API. But now, I think we need to create the code to add a stopover. Simply, we listen to the clicks on the map and then add a new marker to our waypoints array. We just added a dialog asking for the resting time. So if you click by mistake, just click away and the dialog, it will disappear. Now, we keep the waypoints array with the marker, the resting time, and the location for easy data manipulation. And we're going to add these waypoints to the requested route. Of course, we can click anywhere on the map to create non-realistic routes. That's why we need to check the range. We have buttons on the origin and for each waypoint added. When we click on any of those, we request to the map component to call Reachable Range API and calculate the area that we can drive. In this case, the max time is the value that we have in the driving time field in the bottom. We have two functions, one for the origin and one for the waypoint. I think this can be refactored, but for now, let's have those two to make it easy to understand. Of course, we are sending the same values, but we need to create the route, like the weight or the height of the vehicles. These are common parameters between the routing API and the Reachable Range API. Once in the map component, we just add the layer to the map with the geometry coming from the API. Now, see how the route looks when we check for the first stopover. So if you have a limit of 6 or 8 hours, then we can stop around here, for example. And from that location, we can also drive all the way to, let's say, here. Then the visible range layer is updated every time we click on it. And we can see where our next stop can be, and so on. While working on the video, I noticed some cool features I would like to add. First, when we click the map for a stopover, it would be nice to search for places to rest, like restaurants, parks, and that kind of things, to make it easier to choose a location. Second, I think we need more parameters to create a truck route, to make it even more functional, like adding ADR tunnel code restrictions. And right now, we are checking the range by the driving time, but we can also do it by the fuel or battery consumption. Both options are also supported in the routing API. I hope you like the result, and as usual, check the link on the description for the source code in our GitHub repository. And thank you for watching. Happy mapping!